I've often thought, why is Hayley the one for me? And although deep down I know, it was difficult to put down into words. Now, for anyone who knows me, knows my love for films. I recently watched a Jake Gyllenhaal film where he is asked, how do you know she is the one? And the answer he's given hits the nail on the head. Can you live without her? If the answer is anything other than no, she is not the one. This is exactly why I'm marrying Hayley. I could never imagine life without her. My beautiful new bride. Without her, none of this would have been possible. She's literally done it all. I had 2 jobs. 1, book the photographer. 2, find a suit. The photographer was the easy part. Finding a suit to fit my Herculean frame. A little bit harder. However, luckily I managed, and thanks for the tip, Zoe. Gap kids. Henry does look fantastic, by the way. Added bonus, didn't have to pay the VAT. I want to end this with a quote from, of all people, Billy Connolly. Yes, yeah, he knows. Who again was a huge part of my parents' education growing up. He once said the greatest gift you can receive is love, and to be able to return that love is the greatest gift you can give. And I promised that is what I intend to do.
I was going to say, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Lindsay and I have the honour of being Hayley's stepdad. We would like to welcome you here today to celebrate the marriage of Hayley and Tom, and we would like to say to all of you, thank you for being here today and helping make this a very memorable and special occasion. We appreciate that many of you have taken time off work and some of you have travelled a very long way to be here, which shows Hayley and Tom how highly they are thought of. I haven't had the privilege of watching Hayley grow up to become the delightful young lady she is today. But over the last 5 years, Hayley has welcomed me unreservedly into the family, as has Zoe and David. So I was delighted and honoured to be asked by Hayley to open the speeches, because it gives me the opportunity to tell you all how amazing she is, although I'm sure most of you will already know. I love and care about Hayley every bit as much as if I had given Hayley the gift of life, but it was life that gave me the gift of Hayley. When I talk about Hayley, I do so as my daughter, because that's how I think of her. So with this in mind, you can understand why I am so proud of her. I think you'll all agree that Hayley looks absolutely stunning.
Obviously, I wanted to give you all a gift, and as you may all notice, a lot of you aren't wearing ties, so as your gift, I've got a little special something for you all. Now there is a little bit of a story behind each of these. As you'll see, a member of the groom's party is dressed ever so slightly different to the rest of us, and that is because he's wearing his family tartan. Now his father, Big Larry, was at the first wedding I ever attended, and unfortunately Brian lost his father, Big Larry, to motor neurone disease, so I thought it would be a fitting tribute that we were all wearing the McShane family tartan, so I've had these all specially made for you to wear today.
Amazing, lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Cheers. Amazing.
Yeah.
Cheers, bro. Happy wedding day.
I know how much you love wearing a tie.
I didn't put it on.
Yeah. Right, so yeah, you dress him.
They're amazing.
Not unhappy.
Head up!
Although I wasn't present during Hayley's early years growing up, Shirley has told me numerous stories about Hayley's exploits. For instance, when Hayley was around 7 years old, the day before going on holiday, Hayley took it upon herself to shave her own eyebrows off. I didn't witness her bright orange trainers, slick back hair combined with dream matte mousse, foundation on her lips whilst playing The Sims and listening to DJ Cammy. Or when Hayley was found selling golf balls outside the doctor's surgery, having acquired them from the local golf course. But such is the warmth of this family, I feel like I was. Whilst there are many, many more stories about Hayley's exploits, most of which came to light on the hen night, I've probably embarrassed her more than enough. Hayley has so many admirable qualities, many of which have either been inherited from or instilled by her mum, Shirley. Hayley is a joy to be around. She lights up a room when she walks in. She is kind, caring, thoughtful, hard-working, beautiful, loving, smart, generous, treasured and loved by anyone who is lucky enough to really know her. Which makes Tom a very lucky man indeed. When Tom came to see us to ask Shirley for her consent to marry Hayley, we were delighted. Truth is, Tom has been family since the first day we met him. Tom has all of the qualities that any father of the bride would hope for in a son-in-law. Tom is polite, well-mannered, hard-working, and the most sensitive, lovable guy we know. Qualities instilled in him by his parents, Stephen and Lorraine, to which we would like to say thank you for doing a remarkable job bringing Tom up to be the person he is today. He is a credit to you both. Hayley is equally as lucky to have found Tom, and it's obvious to everyone that knows them they adore one another. To see your children happy is the best blessing that a parent can ever receive. So thank you, Tom, for making Hayley so happy.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the North Yorkshire Registration Service, I'd like to give you a warm welcome here to the Tithe barn on the Bolton Abbey estate. My name is Deborah Pearmain, and it gives me a great pleasure to be here today to conduct the ceremony for Tom and Hayley. My colleague is Janice Heathcote, and she will record this very special and happy event on the marriage schedule today. May I ask who brings Hayley in marriage to Tom today? Thank you. Take a seat. Take a seat. Okay, you're not sitting. Stay there. And you can hold hands now because you're getting married. What? Are you ready to begin?
Yeah.
Can you please confirm your full name?
Tom Taylor Parker.
Hayley Louise Hayes.
This place in which we are now met has been duly sanctioned according to law for the celebration of marriages, and you are gathered here to witness the joining of matrimony of Tom Taylor Parker and Hayley Louise Smith. If there is any person here today who knows of any lawful impediment to this marriage, they should declare it now. Before you are joined in matrimony, I have to remind you of the solemn and binding character of the vows you are about to make. Marriage in this country is the union of two people entered into voluntarily for life to the exclusion of all others. Now I'm going to ask each of you in turn to declare that you do not know of any lawful reason why you should not be married to each other today. Firstly, you, Tom. By replying "I am" to the question, are you, Tom Taylor Parker, free lawfully to marry Hayley Louise Mace?
I am.
And now your turn, Hayley. By replying "I am" to the question, are you, Hayley Louise Mace, free lawfully to marry Tom Taylor Parker?
I am.
Tom and Hayley wish to marry, for in each other's company they have found fulfilment and they have found love. As a consequence of this love, they have drawn closer to each other and now wish to affirm publicly their relationship and to offer each other the security that comes from vows sincerely made and faithfully kept.
Welcome, friends, family, and to this beautiful location to join this wonderful couple together in marriage. Let me introduce myself. I'm Ian, better known as Pilch, and to TP, Zippy. The name he gave to me while we worked together in the mad world of hospitality. The reason I'm giving this speech is that Tom and Hayley asked me to help finish something that they credit me for helping to start all those years ago. Originally, they asked me to TP actually asked me to perform the ceremony in a zippy suit. Unfortunately, my many talents don't extend to work of the registrar, who will all need to do the job properly afterwards. And the zippy suit just wasn't flattening for my thighs. So, and I'm not sure I could do a zippy impression for the whole ceremony. I'm also quite sure that Tom expected/demanded that, as his friend, most of the speech would be all about him. Well, I'm sorry, mate, but this story does actually start with your missus. It's my great privilege to be here today and to tell you part of the love story we see unfolding before us that they credit me with having something to do with. It all started with the stars truly aligning for Tom and Hayley, with a few twists of fate along the way. If it wasn't for Hayley going to the wrong Golden Lion for an interview many years ago, I would never have had to think on the spot and decide to interview her and take her on to join my crazy team of the Lion at Settle. She quickly showed how amazing she is, intelligent, and what a great sense of humour and charm she had. Why she's marrying TP, only the heavens knows. Over the years, my career put me into the world of pubs, and it wasn't long before I met the one and only Mr. Taylor Parker, who was as impossible to dislike as he was to manage. Over the years, TP has become one of my closest, I put honest here, but maybe that's wrong, and loyal friends, which is why this moment is my chance to truly return his friendship. During the opening of the Fleece, it became obvious that we needed to add some amazing, brilliant people to our team. So basically, I got straight on the phone and begged Hayley to come and help us. She graciously agreed to help out for a while. I did actually remember thinking, I wondered if Hayley, on her first day, would get on with Tom or whether she would kill him. Luckily, she got on with him. After I remember asking TP to show Hayley around the business, Tom quickly got down to the serious business of impressing the lady. Goodness knows how he succeeded, but hats off to him. And now our darling, most charming hero has won his fair lady. And he stands before, see, I put handsome, no, it can't be for you, sorry. But what I can say is, He stands before his fair lady, who is beautiful and strong-minded as always. I wish you all the most happiness together, the best of lives together, and without further ado, I'll hand you over to the registrar, who can give this romance a lifelong happy ending.
The Institute of Marriage must be entered into freely, voluntarily, and with the full and unreserved consent of you both. Therefore, do you, Tom, take Hayley here present to be your lawful wedded wife?
I do.
And do you, Hayley, take Tom here present to be your lawful wedded husband?
I do.
Now the solemn moment has come for Tom and Hayley to make their contract of marriage before you, their witnesses. If you are able, could you please stand? Okay, you have to say these words to each other now, so look at each other. Please repeat after me, Tom. I, Tom Taylor Parker,
I, Tom Taylor Parker,
take you, Hayley Louise Mace,
take you, Hayley Louise Mace,
to be my wedded wife.
to be my wedded wife.
I promise to be loving, faithful and loyal
I promise to be loving, faithful and loyal
from this day forward.
from this day forward.
And now your turn, Hayley. I, Hayley Louise Mace,
I, Hayley Louise Mace,
take you, Tom Taylor Parker,
take you, Tom Taylor Parker,
to be my wedded husband.
to be my wedded husband.
I promise to be loving, faithful and loyal
I promise to be loving, faithful and loyal
from this day forward.
from this day forward.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. We now come to the giving of the rings. This is the traditional and ancient way of sealing the contract you have made, and is an outward sign of the lifelong promises you have just made to each other. So if I could ask Daniel to come forward, please, and if you could give Hayley's ring to Tom. Thank you, Daniel. Tom, place the ring on the third finger of Hayley's left hand. Hold it in place and repeat after me. Hayley, I give you this ring
Hayley, I give you this ring
as a token of our marriage
as a token of our marriage
and as a symbol of all that we share.
and as a symbol of all that we share.
Daniel, if you'd like to come forward and give Tom's ring to Hayley.
Thank you.
Hayley, place the ring on the third finger of Tom's left hand. Hold it in place and repeat after me. Tom, I give you this ring
Tom, I give you this ring
as a token of our marriage
as a token of our marriage
and as a symbol of all that we share.
and as a symbol of all that we share.
The purpose of marriage is that you may always love, care for and support each other through the joys and sorrows of life, and that love may be fulfilled in a relationship of permanent and continuing commitment. And we trust that these things come true for you both. Tom and Hayley, you have made the declaration prescribed by law, and you have made the solemn and binding contract with each other in the presence of your witnesses, family and friends all gathered here today. It is my privilege and absolute pleasure to tell you you are now lawfully married, husband and wife. Congratulations.
I love it how Tom has asked all his crazy hospitality friends to do all these like nuts kind of thick jobs. No offence to anyone in the motor industry or anything like that, but we seem to have all been picked out of things. Anyway, just really quickly, Tom and I used to work together at the Angel about 10 years ago, and he was interested in a few things about working there, which generally what time he finished and how many tips he'd made that night, but he always loved a good wedding. And actually, I do remember many occasions we used to like bring the bride and groom in, and Tom he said to me, you know, one day, when I find the right woman, can you do that for me? And he said, and I said, of course I will, but I might not be alive at that point, but I'll give it a try. But he said, whatever happens, whenever you bring me in, I don't want to be welcomed like some kind of beige groom, you know, which he definitely isn't. He wanted to be welcomed like some kind of superstar DJ. His bride was a megastar, and he was like the most important person in the world, which actually both of them are today. So I hope I'm fulfilling Tom's little promise that I made to him 10 years ago. So, are we ready? For the first time, ladies and gentlemen, and I did have to check there wasn't a third name being added to this, Tom Taylor Parker actually, but can we please welcome, for the very first time, and stay seated until halfway through, Mr. and Mrs. Taylor Parker.
I must take this opportunity to thank Hayley's family on both sides for making me feel so welcome. I remember the day I went to Bentham to ask Shirley's permission. I was so nervous, and her response of course you daft bugger, really put me at ease. It was then off to Huddersfield, accompanied by my new brother-in-law, David, to speak to Trevor, Hayley's father. He is a man of few words until you get to know him, and well, spoiler alert, he said yes, and we're all here today. Lindsay, you have become a huge part of all of our lives, and I think I speak for everyone when I say thank you so much for your beautiful words.
Thank you. Yes.
I must also take this time to mention my own parents, as for me, they are the most incredible couple. They are the perfect combination of characters and have always been there to give me advice of all natures. I will forever be thankful for making me the man I am today, and I promise to make our marriage as happy as theirs. And although I am now officially a married grown-up, Stephen, I'll still be keeping you on retainer.
It is I, father of the groom. Now I want you to hold on to that thought because it's a theme that I'm going to return to shortly. Observers of wedding protocol and etiquette amongst you will be wondering why I, father of the groom, is on his feet today. But when Tom asked me if I would say a few words, my initial reaction was, well, that's a risky little game, Tom. But then I realised it was an opportunity too good to be missed, and it could be my first and probably final chance to publicly lay before an assembled audience some, and not all, of Tom's more spectacular indiscretions. Now I have to say, having spoken to so many of you here this afternoon and also listened to the lovely comments and thoughts and compliments that have been played about Tom today, I'm feeling slightly guilty about what I'm about to do. Yeah. Tom did say to me when he asked me, Dad, well, he didn't actually say Dad, I'll come tell you in a minute. He said, will you just keep it short? So, in homage to Maverick from Top Gun, I feel the need for speed. Now, most of you who know Tom will have the very clear impression that he's had a mostly charmed life, and in fact has skated through with consummate ease and the minimum of disruption to his goals. In fact, in our family, Tom has been known at various times as Teflon Tom, Squeaky Clean, and as Amber and Britt will attest, most appropriately, Golden Balls. Now, returning just for a moment to the subject of respect, or the lack of it, you'll recall I introduced myself as father of the groom, the emphasis being on the word father. Now, since the day Tom uttered his first words, he has steadfastly refused to call me father, dad, or even pops. Instead, I've been known over the years as Stevie Man, Raymond Reddington, a reference to the Blacklist actor James Spader, but the final insult in front of the whole assembled Giggleswick School Leavers service as Jasper Carrot. So, just for today, I am assuming my correct title of father. Hayley, actually, I'm fascinated to hear what you're going to come up with. Actually, thinking about it, Tom once did get very close to giving me my preferred title. Just after we'd moved into our Skipton house, I'd taken delivery of a shiny new black BMW. It had blacked out windows, fancy wheels, and TVs in the back. I was so proud, I can't tell you. Now, some of the kids on the road commented that it looked like a drug dealer's car. And Tom, bless him, did nothing to disavow these kids. And for years, I was known locally as the Godfather. Now, Hayley, I thought long and hard about making you aware of some of Tom's indiscretions today, but then I decided, well, it's too late now. The vows are taken, the knot's tied, and for better or worse, is your responsibility. So, here are just a few of our treasured Tom memories. Recalling some of the more memorable highlights that have not been made public, there was one occasion when Tom, probably aged about 15, had been left in the house whilst Lorraine and I had a weekend away. We were having a leisurely drive back about 120 miles from home when the phone rang, and it was Tom. After exchanging various pleasantries in his typically laconic and laid-back manner, he nonchalantly asked, "Stevie man, what do you do about a chimney fire?" Now, I sensed the looming crisis, and I maintained a calm and measured approach so as not to panic him. So I asked him, "Well, Tom, how bad is it?" And he replied, "Well, it's halfway up the wall, and it's melted old Gran's crystal clock." 2 words, Tom: fire brigade. This was not the only incident to occur when we were away. On the subsequent occasion, he decided to host a pool party for his mates in our back garden. Now, the swimming pool held about 12,000 gallons of water, but on our return, 9,000 gallons of this were no longer in the pool and had been emptied, we believe, through over-enthusiastic dive bombing, and the escaped water was currently residing in our next-door neighbour's garage, having flowed downhill out of our garden. Now, to compensate for this and the excessive late-night noise and revelry, Tom, being well brought up and probably fearing the likely repercussions from the neighbours, decided to head off any reprisals at the pass before we got home by visiting all the disgruntled parties and making reparations by a profuse apology accompanied by numerous bottles of wine. Generous of him, and completely emptying our wine cabinet in the process. So no actual cost to him. Now, more recently, and only due to the revelations of Pam and Mike Colan, and you thought they were mates, Tom, we found out that having only recently passed his driving test and experienced only in driving his modestly powered Peugeot 206, he took the range Porsche out and used it to chauffeur his mates and their respective girlfriends to their leavers prom, only to abandon the car when it ran out of fuel at the Falcon Arms in Settle, casually tossing the keys to the hotel porter saying, "Somebody will be back to collect it tomorrow." Now, I could go on, but I'd be entering into the realms of character assassination. And these memories are all character building, and the turned out, fortunately, to be harmless.
So, Tom told me that I wasn't allowed to have much to drink today until after my speech, so if it seems like I'm in a hurry to finish, then it's because I am. Hayley, you look absolutely stunning today. Tom is a very, very lucky man, so please aware that he's aware of this at all times, please. The bridesmaids too, you're all looking gorgeous today. And obviously I can't forget you, Lorraine. Wow.
You can't afford it.
Neither can you.
It means a lot to me to be able to say a few words about this amazing couple sitting in front of us, in front of everyone today. For those who don't know me, I'm Dan. I'm one of Tom's closest friends. We've known each other for a few years now, and it was around the same time him and Hayley met. We met through friends of friends, and we soon became inseparable. We developed a bond through a shared interest in gin and tonic. And as many of you know, this is the key to his heart. In the early days, Tom, Hayley and I spent many a night playing Cards Against Humanity until the early hours of the morning and consuming copious amounts of gin. We then started working together, and that's when I started to realise that I was stuck with him. But I'm really glad to say that as of today, I'm officially handing that duty over to you, Hayley. I just want to finish by saying how honoured I am to be your best man today, so thank you.